Folks, it's happened again. It's 0 days since a UFO expert or scientist has gone missing or died suspiciously. We've got another one, people. They're saying that this is actually the tenth scientist with connections to unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFOs, UAPs, all of that kind of stuff. Them aliens. They're saying that this is another person that has gone missing. So this is him. It's Steven Abel Garcia. Okay, it says he was last seen on August the 28th, 2025 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A lot of these guys going missing from New Mexico. There's a lot of space-based installations down there. So he's gone missing. They don't know where he is. There's a hotline number there. If anyone's seen him, you can look into that. But basically, okay, this is the 10th one. So I'm going to give you some more information about Steven's disappearance. But first, let's just recap the other 9 people at this point who have now either died or gone missing after having close clearances when it comes to aliens and unidentified aerial phenomena.
His death barely made headlines. But now, nearly 3 years later, there is renewed interest in what happened to Michael David Hicks. Why? Hicks, a NASA scientist who spent decades studying asteroids and deep space, died in 2023 at the age of 59. No public cause of death has ever been released. Now, Hicks worked on major missions, including NASA's DART project, which tested whether humans could deflect asteroids, earlier deep space missions studying comets. His death is now being discussed alongside other cases involving researchers connected to NASA, missile systems, nuclear technology, who have either died or disappeared. Among them, a NASA-related researcher honored for breakthrough work who also died with little public attention. A NASA director who disappeared and has not been found. A fusion scientist working on next-generation energy killed in what investigators have described as a targeted attack. A retired Air Force general, deep knowledge of advanced technology, who reportedly walked away from his home and vanished. The McCaslin case, we've talked about that. How about an astrophysicist shot and killed outside his home? A family member of that astrophysicist spoke with one of our producers earlier today. They told us exclusively they believe his death was an isolated incident and is not connected to the other cases. Now, importantly, and to be clear, there is no confirmed evidence publicly linking any of the deaths or disappearances, and officials have not said that they're connected, but former intelligence and law enforcement officials note that scientists working in sensitive fields have long been targets for foreign intelligence operation. Members of Congress are calling for closer scrutiny, saying the number and nature of these cases warrant attention. It's all strange. Yeah, that's clear. But are these separate and unrelated tragedies, or could there be overlapping risks that are not yet fully understood?
So the disappearances and deaths of these space technologists is now hitting the mainstream media. Now, in a previous investigation on this channel, I did actually touch on the case of Dr. James Thomas Ryder, a former vice president at Lockheed Martin, who disappeared in 2018. And as I said before, the only record indicating that he had died is this Ancestry.com listing, right? This was somebody who was a serious senior scientist working on classified space-related technology. He just died without a trace, barely any information, a bunch of paperwork that you should have on people that passed away. It's just not there. And there was another one. This was in June the 11th, 2022. We talked about her previously. Rest in peace to Amy Eskridge, the scientific doctor who basically was known for her research in advanced propulsion and gravity modification technology that a lot of people believe was reverse engineered from UAP crafts that crashed on Earth. She passed away, allegedly taking her own life. But a lot of people don't really buy it. I believe she had said previously that she thought she was going to get taken out and that she wasn't, inclined to check herself out. But it is very suspicious, okay? There's a whole bunch of these. Now, the Daily Mail has officially added a 10th name to the list of scientists. And again, before you start calling me crazy conspiracy theorist, this is in mainstream media all over America that they're actually now reporting on this. I was reporting on this before the mainstream media, but now they're catching up, and it does seem like this is a real story in the mainstream press. So it says, missing nuclear official becomes the 10th person tied to dark patterns surrounding U.S. secrets. Another person with links to America's nuclear secrets has gone missing as the disturbing list of deaths and disappearances in recent years continues to grow. Steven Garcia, 48, vanished without a trace on August 28, 2025. And just like Neil McCaslin, he was last seen leaving his Albuquerque, New Mexico home on foot, only carrying a handgun. And we heard Neil McCaslin had left with no shoes and a revolver and no phone. It's all very suspicious. So an anonymous source told the Daily Mail that Garcia was a government contractor working for the Kansas City National Security Campus. a major facility in Albuquerque that plays behind-the-scenes roles in America's national defense. Specifically, KCNSC manufactures more than 80% of the non-nuclear components that go into building the military's nuclear weapons. Very suspicious he would go missing. It says Garcia allegedly served as a property custodian at KCNSC's New Mexico facility, giving him a top security clearance and a broad access to the entire site's nuclear secrets. The source described Garcia's work as a very high-level, overseeing position for all of the assets, tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars in equipment and assets, some of which are not classified. Others would be classified. The government contractor's sudden disappearance marks the 10th person with ties to America's space or nuclear secrets who has died or mysteriously vanished in recent years, putting U.S. national security experts on edge. Moreover, 4 of these officials have vanished without a trace in almost the same manner as Garcia, and all had a connection to U.S. nuclear secrets or rocket technology. When are we going to get to the bottom of this? When are the government going to actually comment on this? It's all well and good seeing it in the mainstream media, but when is Trump going to come out and say something is very, very wrong here? It says the Daily Mail has reached out to the KCNSC and the U.S. Department of Energy, which owns and oversees the facility, to confirm Garcia's work at the site and for comment on his disappearance. According to police in Albuquerque, Garcia was last spotted on surveillance cameras walking out of his home on Cattail Court SW in a green camouflage shirt and shorts just after 9 a.m. local time. There must be some good camouflage because he ain't been seen since. It said he's also been seen carrying a handgun. Authorities warned Garcia may be a danger to himself. However, the anonymous source disputed many suggestions that the nuclear official might have been suicidal or was battling mental health issues. He was a very stable person, they said, adding the possibility that Garcia might have been the target of foreign spies made the most sense. So is it the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians over here kidnapping nuclear scientists? Is it the aliens, or have people seen too much and they're checking themselves out? It's very, very suspicious. So this says former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker previously told the Daily Mail, our scientists have been targeted for a long time, especially in the rocket propulsion area by hostile foreign intelligence services. Days after Garcia's disappearance, the KCNSC reportedly launched a desperate search for the missing contractor, including going through his work computers, emails, and files for any clues to his whereabouts, but nothing has been found. It's a little strange that these people just keep disappearing. I mean, he literally just walked off in the desert with a firearm and a bottle of water, and that was it. They compared it to Neil McCaslin's disappearance too. He also lived in Albuquerque and vanished, leaving his home on February the 27th, 2026, with no phone, no wearable devices, or his prescription glasses, only a .38 caliber revolver. Now, this is Steven Garcia, apparently pictured leaving his home with just a handgun, no phone, keys, or wallet. Very suspect. So 2 other individuals in New Mexico with a connection to U.S. nuclear facilities have disappeared under identical circumstances in 2025. Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casillas both worked at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, one of the nation's most important nuclear research sites. Chavez, 79, worked at the lab until his retirement in 2017, but it wasn't clear what his role was, and Casillas, 54, was an active administrative assistant at the facility and is believed to have had a top security clearance too. Both were last seen leaving their homes in New Mexico on foot, leaving behind their cars, keys, wallets, and phones before disappearing without a trace less than 4 months before Garcia vanished. All 3, Garcia, Chavez, and Casillas, have been tied to General McCasland, who was the former commander at the AFRL, the Air Force Research Lab, which oversaw research at Kirtland Air Force Base from 01 to 04. Kirtland, KCNSC, and LANL all work closely together on national security projects, especially research involving America's nuclear capabilities. That entire mission runs out of Kirtland Air Force Base. A big part of it, including the technology and the production of technology that they still use, is all built in Albuquerque, so McCasland would have absolutely known and been to these facilities, a source revealed. Fearing that a foreign power might be taking aim at America's nuclear program again, Swecker noted, I think we've seen instances where nuclear scientists have been taken out. They've been assassinated. That's fucking crazy. It said, meanwhile, NASA scientist Monica Jacinto Reyes, age 60, also disappeared while hiking with friends in California on June the 22nd, 2025. The director at the Materials Processing Group at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory has also been directly tied to General McCasland through her work to invent a space-age metal called Mondaloy, a project that was funded directly by AFRL while McCasland was overseeing her lab from 2011 to 2013. In addition to the string of disappearances in the Southwest, 5 scientists in key areas of research have died over the last 3 years, including 2 who were murdered in their own homes. I've been covering this. Nuno Lauriero, 47, was assassinated at his home in the Boston suburb of Brookline on December 15, 2025. Authorities said the gunman was Claudio Neves Valente, a former classmate from Portugal. However, A former FBI official and independent investigators have noted that Lauriero's revolutionary work in nuclear fusion might have made him a target of greater conspiracies against US scientists. Astrophysicist Carl Grillmeier, 67, was shot to death on the front porch of his home in February 16, 2026. The California Institute of Technology researchers' work had been heavily supported by NASA's JPL, including major space telescope missions led by NASA. What the fuck's going on with that case? I want to know about that guy. Apparently he was caught in his yard like a week before, and then he came back and killed him. Not hearing anything. Where's the motive? Where's the detective work? Grillmeier's work with the NEOWISE and NEO-Surveyor has also been linked to the Air Force, as NASA's telescopes use the same systems that the military relies on to track satellites and hypersonic missiles. 2 other men with deep ties to NASA JPL recently died too, with circumstances surrounding their passings remaining a mystery. NASA scientist Frank Mywald reportedly died on July 4th, 2024 in LA at the age of 61, but the cause of death has never been made public, and officials confirmed an autopsy was never even performed. Why? In June 2023, just 13 months before his death, he was the lead researcher on a breakthrough that could help future space missions detect clear signs of life on other worlds, including Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus, or the dwarf planet Ceres. We're on a whole other planet with this research. Michael David Hicks, a research scientist at NASA JPL, also passed away on July the 30th, 2023, at the age of 59, but his cause of death was also never made public. I'm going to put my foot warmer on here, got cold feet. All right, shout out to cold feet. The cause of death was never made public. He died July the 30th, 2023 at the age of 59, but the cause of death was never made public too, and no record of an autopsy being performed could ever be found. What on earth is going on? Let me get comfortable. Hicks had been involved with the DART project, NASA's test to see if humans could deflect dangerous asteroids away from Earth. He also worked on the Deep Space One mission, which tested a new spacecraft technology that flew by a comet in 2001. NASA JPL has not commented on the deaths of Mywald and Hicks and did not reply to Daily Mail's inquiries into the nature of the scientists' works before their death. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not calm the public down unless something really fucked up is going on? In another mysterious incident, Jason Thomas, a pharmaceutical researcher testing cancer treatments at Novartis, was found dead in a Massachusetts lake on March the 17th, 2026, after disappearing without a trace 3 months earlier. Very spooky. So let's basically look back at the disappearance of the person that this article was originally about, okay? This is Steven Garcia. Now, following his disappearance in August 2025, posts on social media would actually circulate that reference his disappearance. Okay, this will go around in September. Please, if anyone has any information, contact the number on the flyer. He'd been missing for quite some time at this point, right? It's damn near eight months or so that he's been missing. They've been posting these still missing. 3 weeks later, please help us locate him. No updates. What on earth is going on? And there will be more and more pleas for information. This is day 12. Please share. And if you know anyone who lives in the area, this looks like a relative, Valerie Garcia here. Anyone who lives in the area between 98th and 118th near Dennis Chavez, please ask them to check their cameras on the morning of the August 28th between 9:22 and 11:30. He was last seen wearing a green camo shirt, grey pants, and grey shoes, on foot, headed west. Any information is helpful in determining which way he was headed. Super, super suspicious. Everybody's praying for Valerie, man. Prayers up for her. It's a really sad situation to be dealing with. Now, Abraham A.V. Loeb is a prominent Israeli-American theoretical physicist and astrophysicist at Harvard, and he recently said in an interview, there's no need for concern over all of these missing people. There's no need for concern.
Practicing scientist is not great, and I would caution of assigning too much significance to those. Of course, each of these cases is a mystery that has to be resolved. It's possible that there was someone aiming to harm those individuals, but I don't think it shows some evidence for a plan. Just because these people, for example, worked on unidentified anomalous phenomena, there is nothing of that nature related to some of those individuals, and I would not be too concerned about this being coordinated.
Very interesting you bring that up, obviously.
Really? I wouldn't be too concerned. Excuse me? Why? People going missing and dying working on secret space programs? You just don't think we should be concerned? He knows too much.
Saying that you don't believe that there's evidence of this, mass plan. But I think, antennas go up when they hear people are linked through a secret program. And, maybe, this is why they would be targeted. That's what a lot of people think. What kind of programs are we talking about when we talk about some of these missing scientists that we're showing you right now, their names are part of? What kind of secret programs are involved here?
Well, some of these programs relate to the Air Force. These are programs to develop technologies that are useful for the Air Force, that are classified. And others relate to nuclear fusion, where study of nuclear fusion obviously has important implications for energy sources, but also potentially for applications in space, and some of which might be related to national security. But, I do not see a threat that would be alarming at this time, and especially given that President Trump gave a directive to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to release any classified information about unidentified anomalous phenomena that might be of great interest, of course, in if those objects that were identified are non-human made. So I'm more looking forward to that release than anything else, and I don't think we should be alarmed at this point regarding the scientists that disappeared.
I
don't buy it. Talking about don't be alarmed. No way. 1's a happenstance, 2's a coincidence, and 9 is we should not be alarmed. If a guy on TV is telling you not to pay attention, we should all be paying attention. 2 in December 25, 2 in February 26. It's a concerning timeline. Oh, don't worry. We're just keeping secret programs for you, but don't worry. We won't hurt you. We won't use it against our own citizens. 9 scientist deaths and disappearances, some with obvious foul play, and they aren't connected. Bullshit. Did he just tell the general public not to worry about 4 missing person cases still under investigation? Nobody finds that strange. I'm very surprised at his response about the missing scientists. Nothing to see here, just a quinky dink. But according to the law of averages, how many scientists would normally go missing or worse in a year? To lose 1 scientist is unfortunate. 2 is careless, but 9 is worthy of an investigation. 9, what the fuck? Yeah, that's super suspicious. Don't look at the gun, just talk to the camera, Mr. Loeb. Yeah. So the same guy that said 3-Eye Atlas was technological is saying 9 top-level missing scientific researchers of an unidentified anomalous phenomena is nothing to worry about. What the fuck? It says caution about assigning too much significance to those cases. Unbelievable. Okay, Mr. Loeb, can you name any other field where numerous specialists or high-ranking people in the know have gone missing? I'm sure you can't. If that doesn't raise your alarm bells, nothing will. No coincidence. This is a problem that's been going on for a very long time. I'm glad it's getting attention because it's naive to think it's a coincidence. We need to know what happened. People are saying this is straight out of an episode of The X-Files. And despite Mr. Loeb's protesting, nothing to see here, don't worry about it, people are worried. And according to News Nation, there is indeed a distinct pattern forming in these cases.
Absolutely. I mean, we are seeing a pattern. And the most striking thing for me is Monica Riza and General McCaslin. I mean, Monica Riza worked closely with General McCaslin, and she disappeared under extremely, extremely disturbing and mysterious circumstances. And reportedly, she co-patented a super alloy that was going to be used for rocket propulsion. She knew a lot. General McCaslin knew a lot. They worked at Wright-Patterson, where reportedly they're holding debris from extraterrestrial creatures from Roswell. And I believe that. I believe those two knew a lot. And Monica Riza, her disappearance, I mean, the fact that she was hiking with a friend or two, I mean, it's a little bit unclear, some of the information. But the fact that she was right behind them, 30 feet behind them, and then she disappeared just out of nowhere. I mean, literally, they found a hat, and apparently her scent stopped at the hat, and that was it. And then Neil McCaslin, I mean, you have to wonder the timing. President Trump saying, you know, I'm going to release these files, and then 6 days later, Neil McCaslin goes missing. I don't think that he was kidnapped and tortured for classified information. I don't. I think something went off in his head.
What about this? You mentioned this 325 meeting that's somehow part of it?
Yeah, so I did mention to you off camera that there was a meeting, a SCIF meeting, basically, where they do this in an
secure
isolated
facility.
Yes, a secured facility. And there was Democrats, Republicans, because this is a very bipartisan topic. They're both very interested. And General McCaslin, his disappearance was discussed. UAPs were discussed. So I don't think this story is going away, Jesse.
It's a serious story, and the members of the government are saying, what the hell is going on, all right? People are saying, please shine a light on this. Something is up. The weirdest part is friends and family saying nothing to see here, all right? Very, very spooky. So this has been going viral on Reddit, and everyone's been reacting to this news. People are waking up to the truth about what's going on. People saying, is this a conspiracy or is it espionage? Now, I'm honestly starting to think espionage might be more likely. Could be the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians trying to get to these nuclear and space and weapons technology. I could see Vladimir Putin ordering some murders abroad. He's done it in the UK before. There was a very famous case where they basically came and poisoned an ex-spy in the UK, and no one ever did anything about it. UK didn't slide about it. We just took it like a bitch. It was not a good look. It says, can these deaths or disappearances be explained by simple scientific and tech espionage by Russia and China, or is this more of a hiding technology secret and the three-body problem vibe? People saying none. Michael David Hicks dies from complication due to alcoholism disease, nothing to do with conspiracies. His family's been through enough. But what about the rest? It says the United States suffered the greatest geopolitical failure in 50 years with a corrupt, inept president starting a war against Iran without thinking about the consequences. Trump has lost that war and empowered the Iranian hardliners while alienating the US from its allies and effed up the global economy with a spike in oil he caused. All of these ideas and no commas. And the disruption to plastics production that will have deeper implications. The corrupt president is implicated in a PDF ring with Jeffrey Epstein, and you're pointing to a handful of random people dying as a means of distracting from those real scandals. I'm not going to lie. I think fools are using the Epstein files to distract from other things, actually, at this point. I don't think we should say, oh, no, this is nothing to see here. Oh, we'll keep focused on the Epstein thing. No, numerous things can be popping at the same time. All right, we're up to 10 now. They're saying 11, 12, all right? A bunch of them. They're saying someone's trying to hide a really large gun. The Marauder. Right, some kind of plasma rail gun that was classified since 1993. That's what they're saying. Saying space lasers. It sounds like nonsense, but space lasers is a real thing. I'm pretty sure Israel is actually using lasers to intercept drones and missiles at the moment. Kinetic energy weapons in space, breaks treaties, and breaks continents. Okay. Is crazy. People are saying it sure seems like a foreign actor or a country is grabbing these people to extract info and secrets, or the US is doing it to keep them quiet forever. People are saying I think either one, they're all gone to hide whatever project they were working on, or two, said project is now being used and these scientists are required to operate it. Now that's a really, really interesting theory. Okay, that actually maybe they're actually being drafted in under a cloak of secrecy to actually operate some very, very secret weapons. So it's saying another scientist has gone missing, bringing the count up to 10. So a missing rocket scientist linked to critical defense technology went missing from the list. People saying this is getting completely out of hand now. And they're connecting all of the dots with all of these people. It says, imagine how big the actual web is, including the unofficial deaths we aren't even aware of. Could be 50 to 100 times bigger. It's terrifying to think about. And we only know about this due to social media. How many scientists were murdered from the 40s to the 90s? And we're only just finding out about any of these deaths. Imagine how far back in history it goes. Some people are saying it's interesting they seem to mostly be involved in rocket technology, biology, metallurgy, and all of that. This is the government probably took them to the underground base because of what's going to happen. People saying, I think the CIA killed all these people. Possibly, if something is coming, it seems far more likely that these people are getting taken out because they know too much. They all had co-workers on whatever projects they were working on, so a lot more people would have to go missing if this was a cover-up. People saying, okay, thinking ahead, who's next? Who else is on the list? How many targets do they have? Actually, I'm wondering what happens after they've all been assassinated. Like, what happens after everyone on their hit list is dead? Well, we won't be getting that technology they were working on. People saying, what the F is going on? It's crazy. Okay, and there's more. The case that we talked about at the start of this video, 10th scientist linked to nuclear secrets to go missing or die unexpectedly under the current administration, right? And there's a whole breakdown from the Economic Times. So the mainstream media is talking about this. 1 or 2 might raise an eyebrow, but 10, I'm thinking this ain't a coincidence. It says their sources include tabloid fascist news sites in themselves that'd like you to buy merch and donate money. Don't know about that, all right? I don't have any merch to sell. We're just talking about it, all right? But it says, too bad there isn't some branch of government that could investigate this. Some kind of federal bureau of investigation might be good to investigate this. Some kind of central intelligence agency might be good. I don't know if we have those. Missing nuclear scientist becomes the 10th person tied to the dark pattern surrounding U.S. secrets. The government's contractor's son disappearance marks the 10th person with ties to America's space or nuclear programs who died or vanished in recent years, putting U.S. national security experts on edge. People are saying it's Russia. Why not China? Why not both? People are saying it's probably both, and the real answer is Mondaloy. Mondaloy is a nickel-based superalloy invented in the mid-90s at Rockwell Science Center by 2 women, Dallas Hardwick and Monica Jacinto. It solved a problem that stumped American rocket engineers for decades, how to build components that survive inside an oxygen-rich stage combustion pre-burner without catching fire or cracking. Every previous alloy was either burned in oxygen or was too weak to hold pressure. This single material is what allowed the US to stop launching national security satellites on Russian RD-180 engines. It's in the AR-1 engine, military satellite launch vehicles, how long is this? And hypersonic programs. L3 Harris bought Aerojet Rocketdyne, the company that produced it, for $4.7 million. So the entire institutional knowledge chain was 3 people. Dallas Hardwick died of cancer in 2014. Monica Jacinto Reza vanished on June the 22nd, 2025. And Major General Neil McCaslin also vanished on February the 27th. It is crazy. It doesn't make any sense, right? The only files it seems Trump is comfortable releasing are those of national security interest. Release these files, man. Fuck the Epstein files. I need these files. He was saying that the source is Daily Mail, but it sounds like this is the exact same way the US lost key personnel during Trump's first treasonous tenure, except that time they were field agents. Maybe just Doge shouldn't have gutted key anti-terrorist agencies. Maybe they shouldn't have done it. Okay, look, I find this whole situation really creepy. Every day we're finding out about new people who have gone missing, and honestly, it's just super, super scary. So look, I'm going to keep covering this story. Some people think we shouldn't be talking about this. Some people say we shouldn't be alarmed. But I don't buy it, man. I'm definitely alarmed, and I'm definitely following this story with a lot of interest. So I'll keep you guys updated if I hear anything else. For now, that is it from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.